KTFS AM and FM present Spotlight on Texarkana, focusing on news and events in Texarkana and the Arklatex area.
Good morning, KTFS. It is 34 minutes after 7. Dawn with you this morning, and we are speaking with... Go ahead and test your mic out for me.
I'm John Boozman, one of your United States Senators.
And
it's good to be with you.
Oh, it's good to be with you, too. I was going to... And also...
And I'm Bruce Westerman, the congressman from the 4th District of Arkansas, and it's also good to be here in Texarkana.
Yeah, thank you guys for joining me this morning. It's a little bit early. We were talking about that. I need a little bit more coffee this morning so my eyes can be a little more awake. But you guys look bright-eyed and bushy-tailed this morning.
Well, you said you've been up since
3:30, yeah.
I got up and went for a little bit of a muggy run in Texarkana.
It is a little bit humid today. I think
I turned over at 3:30 and was grateful I was still in bed.
Yeah, it's a little bit. When you're on the road, you get to sleep in a little bit more?
A little bit, although, not so much. I mean, you try and get up and maximize your time. And so.
No, I when I'm on vacation, I just want to sleep.
Are you implying we're on vacation since we're not in D.C.?
Sort of.
That's what a lot of people think. We leave D.C. and we're on recess or vacation, but
no. This is really a great time to get out and about. And this week we're on a small business tour. Bruce and I are traveling around talking to small businesses.
You're calling it something special. It's the hashtag Talk Small, y'all.
Yeah.
What happens when you get millennials in your communication shop?
Yeah, he pointed fingers at one of the aides behind me and said, "Yeah, this wasn't my idea." But hey, it would actually go on a T-shirt, so it works.
Yeah, it works, and it does point out the importance. Small business is the backbone of the country. Most of the jobs that are created, people don't understand. We talk about these major corporations and things, but most of the jobs that are created, most of the jobs that there are in the country are small business.
You were in Magnolia yesterday. Tell me how that went.
Very, very good. And we were also in El Dorado. And so the theme is I think we're blessed right now. Unemployment's fairly low. I think that when you talk to employers, they want an educated workforce.
Very
now, it doesn't matter in this business now. I look around and I see all of the neat stuff.
Are you looking at the board right now?
This
is a brand new board. We got hit by lightning last year. A lot of people don't know this. And this board, I'm telling you, our engineer can log in from home now and fix things.
Is that right?
Yeah. It's amazing.
It's remarkable. And that's the technology that we have. But you have to have some understanding. You have to have some skill in working these things. And so we're working hard with our community colleges and technical colleges to try and provide the education so our employers will have the skill sets that they need in their workers.
They've been working on that here. We've talked about that quite a bit with Texarkana College because a lot of people don't think community college is somewhere you're going to get that, but they've been working on that in their workforce program. And so I'm amazed by what my kids are going to be learning when they hit college.
Yeah, there are a lot of opportunities if you go the career and technical education route. And most employers I talk to, that's the skills that they can't find. I mean, if you go into welding or electricity or machinist, there's so many things out there that there's just a pent up demand, and as the economy grows, there's going to be more demand for it. And as we talk about small businesses, they're everywhere. This radio station is a small business.
Yes, it is.
And like the senator said, we have these large industries that are kind of anchor businesses, and then a lot of small businesses help support those. And the network just multiplies when you think about the work that one small business does and the suppliers to that small business. So it really is the backbone of our economy, and it's what's makes our country unique and really drives our economy.
I think your millennials can tell you the word you're looking for is blockchain.
That sounds impressive.
It doesn't just apply to Bitcoin. It's the new terminology for the idea that you have a small business, but that small business is going to rely on other businesses to maintain what it's doing. And it's a new blockchain. You have to do it with the quotations and stuff. So blockchain is going to be your new word.
Like bricks in the wall or
right.
links of chain.
Links in a chain. Yeah. Right. So when we're talking about small businesses in Texarkana, tell me what you're hoping to see here in Texarkana.
Well, really, what we're doing is more listening than talking, and trying to get an idea of the problems that they face. One of the things that comes up all the time is the regulatory atmosphere, in the sense of, all the paperwork that they feel like they've got to be filling out, the compliance cost. That's
a job all in itself.
The gotcha attitude, with the agencies and things. So you're right. It's a job all into itself, and it's really hard on small business because the larger businesses, they can afford to have compliance people. What happens with small business, you wind up, that's just less time for yourself, your family, and again, it raises the cost of the business.
Now, I know you guys visited Magnolia, and then last night you were at Eagle Distributing.
Yes.
I was just over there. We had the Dragon Boat races a couple weekends ago, and they donated they do a lot of community service, and really impressed with them so much, some of the stuff that they've done for the community lately. What did you think while you were over there?
Well, they were, very hospitable. Again, having the same issues that we've talked about. We asked how the tax cut is going to affect them, and it appears in a very positive way. Hopefully those dollars will get out into the community, more money in people's, billfold or purse at the end of the month.
Which means more shopping.
As you said earlier, this thing just ripples
through.
Kind
of a blockchain effect.
Where have I heard that before? That's great.
Hashtag blockchain.
So, just things like that really affect all small businesses. But
talk small, y'all. This is what we're doing. Small talk.
Yeah.
Well, we're talking about big talk now. As far as you're saying, all of the, red tape. How do we work on that?
Well, we work on it really at every level. There's just something about government that, and these are good people that work hard, but there's something about government that creates bureaucracy. And we all need accountability.
Blockchain, government, bureaucracy.
Right, exactly. But, we all need accountability, but we don't need regulation for regulation's sake. And so we're working hard to roll that back, to make sure that the information that is being asked is necessary information. The other problem we've got now is that as we gather information, you have to store that in a secure way. And that's a huge problem.
And this administration has done a lot to provide regulatory relief in conjunction with Congress, but just getting the right people in place in the federal agencies has made a big difference. A lot of employers and business folks that I talk to will tell you that the regulatory relief has probably been bigger as far as getting the economy in high gear than even the tax cuts. But the tax cuts are
essential. They play into it.
Yeah, and we're going to continue to see a lot more benefits from those. It's just getting started. Individuals are seeing lower rates and higher take-home pay. But next year, when folks file their taxes, you're going to see a simpler tax code, doubling the standard deduction, doubling the child tax credit. The business rates are going to be much lower, so they're going to have a lot more money to invest in their employees and back into their business. Now, Senator, one thing I've noticed when we talk to these small business owners is they talk about how much they want to take money and reinvest back into their business and
very
into
much
their employees, which that's the way it should work, and make these small businesses grow, give people better opportunities, and that'll really kickstart our economy and keep it going even.
Yeah, very much so. You were a small businessman. I was a small businessman before going to Congress. And, people want to grow their businesses.
Well, it's kind of like being a homeowner, I think. You have so much stuff to do to your home, but you have to put it off to take care of all the other necessary.
Right.
You finally get a break, and the first thing you're going to do with that is what? Invest it back into your home.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a good analogy.
Oh, sorry. I'm good with those.
Yeah. Reminds me, my wife had some flowers she wanted me to plant.
Have you done it yet?
I just haven't had the opportunity to do
See?
that. Yeah.
And what are you doing now? You're out taking muggy runs in Texarkana. I would be like, look, honey, before you leave, see those flowers? All right.
We've heard those things before.
Yes, I'm sure you have. When we come back in just a second, we're going to be talking. We're actually going to be talking about not flowers, but we're going to talk about fowl and things that concern fowl. Not fowl. We'll be talking about birds.
Birds.
How about that? Birds. Right back with KTFS.
Ornithology.
940 and 98.7.
47 minutes after 7, KARN. Good morning. We are talking to
John Boozman, one of your senators.
One of your senators.
And Bruce Westerman, one of your representatives. Actually, if you're in Texarkana, you're representative.
I was going to say, wait, you are the right?
One of 4 in Arkansas.
And you actually have a huge area of land. We were talking about, before we went on break, we were going to be talking about, land and ducks and things like that. You are over the 4th District, so you've got all the way over Hot Springs and that whole area.
Yeah, it's 33 of the 75 counties, everything along the Louisiana line except for Chico County right over in the southeast corner, and then everything that touches Texas and all the way up to half
and all
of
of the
Sebastian
things
County.
that the shadow covers on that side. Yes.
Almost to Missouri, all of Madison County. So
wow, that is a huge section of the state.
It is a huge section.
You should talk about breaking that up and giving somebody else part of it.
Well, sadly, in the next go-round, when they realign things, probably he'll gain a little bit more territory.
What?
It's all population-based, so
yes.
we see growth in northwest Arkansas, growth in Little Rock, and shrinking populations in our more rural areas. So
that is true. They have been discussing how our rural areas are becoming more rural.
Yeah, and that's another reason that again, we're out here, the backbone of as we talked about earlier, of the country's small business, but particularly in rural America.
Small town is not becoming bigger anymore. It's becoming smaller.
Yeah, and so, we need to do everything we can to strengthen that. And the good news is, our chambers, our city fathers in the different areas really are working very, very hard. You mentioned our community colleges, our VOTEX, because the first thing that everybody looks at as to whether or not they're going to settle in a place are quality of life issues. But if you're an employer, then you want people that have skills that you can put to work.
And that's what they've been working on. That's what I was telling you. The workforce program, we've been talking to Brandon Washington over there quite a bit, and they're fixing to open up a robotics section. I mean, a lot of the companies, they've noticed that there's a huge trend in people going to college. They're getting that degree, but it's not in something that we are lacking in at the moment.
Right.
Yeah. And what we're lacking in is people who can do hands-on, practical applications. And a lot of people think, that's so much work, I don't want to do that. But it's actually a very well-paid field. They just don't realize it. They think, I don't want to do that.
And when we talk about rural America, another thing that's important to me, and I hear a lot across the 4th District, is high-speed broadband access.
Yeah, very much.
And we were.
This is something we should talk about. A mile from my house is where the cutoff is for high speed. A mile from my house.
Well, I live literally my property line. I'm out in the country, but my property borders the property of the city of Hot Springs, and I have horrible internet service at my house.
We should work on that.
Yeah, we are working.
Do you know Elon Musk? Can we get some of that tapped out of the atmosphere that he's going to be putting in?
Well, we are working hard.
One thing the administration is pushing is development of rural broadband, and the farm bill that's will be voted on in the House soon has a lot in it for rural broadband. And there's some exciting things happening that I've taken back to Washington, D.C. and shared with others in the 4th District. But down in Camden, the Ouachita Valley Electric Cooperative, they've teamed up with a rural area telephone company provider. So they got somebody that's got the infrastructure to rural Arkansas, and they've got somebody that knows how to do high-speed broadband, and they've started their own little company, and they're able to provide 100 gigabyte service to rural
well, that's a good start.
Yeah.
We spent 4 years on a really small rock in the Pacific Ocean for 4 years with the military. And no, we were Okinawa. And we needed internet. And they said, all right, we'll be out this afternoon. And then a little truck pulled up, literally, little truck, it could have fit in this room. 4 little guys jumped off of it. 2 of them ran up one pole, 2 of them ran up the next pole, and then they just slung this wire just all the way down to the next pole.
How'd they do that
again? Over to my house. And they connected it, and bam, we had a gig internet up and down. It didn't matter. It was, my kids were in heaven. And then we moved back to the States. And now we can't get high-speed internet at our house. I think we're at like a 12, but that's because we have 2 lines.
Yeah.
Well, if you look at a lot of the jobs that are out there, and especially with the emphasis that Governor Hutchinson's putting on coding and computer programming, there's a huge demand for cyber jobs, like in cybersecurity. The internet obviously is
taken
booming,
over.
Yeah. So, and those jobs can be done from anywhere as long as you have high-speed internet.
Like I was saying, our engineer can tap in to our board if we have an issue with it. On one of our sister stations, we have an actual DJ that comes in Friday, Saturday nights, and he spins his own stuff, but he has to set up to the board, of course, to broadcast. And so if we need a setting fixed for him, then we just call our engineer, and he logs in from home and fixes it, and then he can go about, DJing. So it's all you can do so much from home these days.
You can. Every business is in that situation now. And one of the things that we've really stressed is that the president's talked a lot about infrastructure, the need for that. And again, making sure that it's not just the 3 R's, railroads, runways, and roads, but also water infrastructure is very important. Having the ability to wastewater and drinking water as you expand. And then broadband is certainly right up the top. It's not uncommon to drive around Arkansas after school hours to see young people, sitting on the back of a pickup doing their homework out in the parking lot. Because they don't have the ability, and so as we look at our small towns, look at our smaller communities, in order for them to grow and prosper, it is something that's just vitally important.
When we're talking about our young people, you have recently started a program, the Congressional Youth Program, and a lot of people haven't heard about that in this area. Tell me more about it.
Well, what we've done is we created, as you say, a Congressional Youth Program. And young people apply, which they should do. They can go to our website and find out how. But they they decide what legislation they feel like they'd like to press forward. Then they actually research it, write the legislation. It's done by district. So the 4th District would have a group. And they meet. They're from different places, but they meet, via phone, things like that. Occasionally get together. I get together with them, Skype, things like that.
We don't want to tell my daughter about this because she's a young redhead, and she just hit high school. And believe me when I tell you, she would be writing you all sorts of things.
No, it'd be great.
And if it's misspelled, exactly she gets this from her mom. She's going to let you know that it's misspelled.
Well, I appreciate that, and but no, we met for our final meeting last week. And the things that they came up with, in fact, the 2 things that they talked about were broadband, marketplace fairness, in the sense, losing the revenue for our local communities, period, regarding sales tax. And I was truly amazed at the research that they done. Bruce, they probably know more about those 2 issues now than the vast majority of Congress. They just did a tremendous job, and it's very impressive.
They have the Google machine.
Yeah.
And the Google machine.
They know how to use it.
Yes. They know how to use it.
And again, have brains, to go along with that.
I think
it makes
that
a huge difference.
Because they've been raised in sort of a different era than we have. I'm not saying we're old or anything, but I'm saying that, they've been raised to think outside of how we were raised. My mom used to tell me, go look it up. And it meant I had to go get the encyclopedia out, and I had to look it up and figure out what was going on. And now if I say, go look it up, then one of them whips their phone out, like the guy behind me right now, and they look it up and say, well, what does he mean by look it up? And then I may hear, how do you spell that? But other than that, they're off, and they're coming up with their own ideas.
Yeah. So, and it's very important to get young people involved in the process. I had opportunity when I had just graduated high school, and I got to go to D.C. and do an internship with Senator David Pryor.
Funny guy. He's so funny.
Yeah, great guy. I was with him last week up on the Mulberry River, and he's still getting along well, but a legend in Arkansas. But we've tried to implement some new internship programs. I'm one of 12 engineers in Congress, so we started a program with the University of Arkansas where we're going to have engineering interns come in. We're going to reserve like two spots for those this summer, and it's kind of taken hold, and some other states are doing it as well, other universities.
I think it's a good idea because, we need a little bit of everything brought to, Washington. A little bit of everybody put in the same pot kind of gives us an all-around picture instead of just one straightforward picture. So if you're bringing in the engineers and you're bringing in the students and you're bringing in, the younger people, then you're going to see things from a different perspective than what we're used to seeing, I think.
Yeah, and everybody needs to realize that what happens in D.C. affects everything, everywhere. Yeah.
So when you bring in our students from Arkansas, that means what happens in Arkansas happens everywhere.
Yeah, that's right.
Sorry, that's just the way I was looking at it for a minute. Now, when we're talking about D.C., you were also, Vice President Mike Pence just recently appointed you, Senator Boozman, to the Migratory Bird Conservation Commission.
Yes.
That's a long title.
It is a long title.
What does that mean?
Well, it's really important. It has to do, as the title says, with migratory birds, which is so important for Arkansas with ducks, things like that. That's a good portion of our economy, and something that we can be very proud of, being the duck hunting capital of the world.
A lot of people don't know that. We go other places all over the planet. They don't realize that. They think we just have Bill Clinton, Neo, and we're next to Texas where all the cowboys are.
Yeah. No, exactly. But we do have people literally from all over the country, that come in, other people from all over the country that have invested in small places to take advantage of this. So it's an effort working with several others to ensure not only ducks, but just our migratory birds in general, that they're healthy and, doing well, and whatever we can do as a country, working with other countries to ensure that. That's what it's all about.
Because what happens in Arkansas affects everyone. See what I was telling you?
Yeah, it absolutely does. Our rice farming here, as far as some of the migratory waterfowl, plays a big role in that.
Worldwide.
Our hardwood bottomland forest. Arkansas's got a lot to offer, and I meet people who've not been here, and then they come here and they're like, that's a beautiful place.
Yeah.
It is beautiful.
It's so diverse.
Can we stop telling people about it, please? So, well, I appreciate you guys coming in. We've got to get to